Are you curious about the cost of living here in the Destin 30A area? Well, there are three major things that you need to consider before you ever buy a condo or a home here, and we're going to talk about those right now. Hello, hello, hello. It's Debbie Wooley with Wooley Luxury Properties here in the beautiful Destin 30A area. On this channel, we talk about everything Destin to 30A. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you will never miss another video. I literally get phone calls every week from people who are thinking about buying a home in the Destin 30A area on the Emerald Coast of Florida. And I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about this, give me a call so we can talk about your dream home. Now, we're talking about the cost of living today, but there is some major things that affect that. But first, let's go over the more routine things. So the first one I will call are necessities. Things like your utilities, your groceries, your health care, your transportation, those kind of things. And I am pleased to say that we are completely average. So we're not high, we're not low, we're just average. So let's just get those out of the way. There are no big surprises there. The next thing that is a pleasant topic to talk about is state income tax. We have no state income tax. So that is a wonderful thing, and I'm sure by now you know about this because people are moving here in droves because of that. But the other taxes that we do deal with are our property taxes, which are 0.65% of the value of your home. So nothing surprising there. And then the state sales tax or the county sales tax all equal about 6.5% to 7.5% depending on where you live in the state. So now that we've got those necessities out of the way, let's talk about what really impacts your cost of living when you move to a coastal area. So we're in the Destin 30A area on the Emerald Coast of Florida. And there are many things that you need to think about when you're buying a home or a condo here. So it's very common for people just to think about the acquisition price of that condo or of that home. But the acquisition or the purchase price of that home or condo is also one of the factors because there are a lot of costs associated depending on where you choose to live and what kind of property you buy. So let's talk about this. First thing, do you feel the need to be on the Gulf? If you feel like you have to be, as we call it, on the sand, so that when you walk out of your property, you are right on the beach, then you've got to make a decision between a single-family home or a condo. So one easy way to decide if the single-family home is the way to go is to first understand the price point, the entry-level price point of a single-family home. A single-family home in the Destin to 30A market on the beach, on the sand, looking at the Gulf is going to begin at $2.5 million. So if that is not in your price range, then you may want to consider a condo. And if you wanted a condo, let's say you wanted a 2-2 condo, 1,300 square feet on the beach. So every morning when you wake up, you can be sipping your beverage of choice in the morning, looking out at the water, then you will start at around $500,000. Now that's on the beach. Both of these options change dramatically if you're willing to move back a bit from the beach. So if you wanted a single family home and it's $2.5 million to begin to even look at a home on the beach, you can easily go a few houses back in the same subdivision, the same area, and be paying $600,000. So it's a big difference between a small stroll to the beach or sitting on the beach. So that's very important, and most people don't quite understand how dramatic that difference is. The same goes for condos, of course. Now, if you want to buy a older home, because the older homes are less expensive, whether they're on the water or whether they're further back, one of the things you need to weigh and you need to explore is what is the cost of the insurance for that property going to be? Because the older homes that were built before the codes were updated require a much more expensive policy. So the insurance companies are very wise, and they look at the age of the home, the structure of the home, and what the code was when the home was built. And they take that into consideration when they identify your premiums. So sometimes it's better to buy a newer home, pay a little more for it, but then the 20 years that you own that home, you're not paying a premium for the insurance. So that's one thing to seriously consider. Now, when it comes to a condominium, the HOA or the community association insurance is going to take care of the building. So that's not as big a concern when you're looking at a condominium versus a single family home. So while we're talking about HOAs and COAs, HOA is homeowner association, COAs is more condominium or community associations. So the HOA fees, if you buy a home that is in a community that they have an HOA, then you are going to have either monthly or quarterly assessments to pay. So these can be very high or very reasonable. So one of the things you need to think about is asking and understanding exactly what those premiums are going to be every month or every quarter. In a condominium association or a community association, a COA, people use that interchangeably. The true name is community association. But in a COA, which would involve condominiums, then you are going to also have the assessment monthly or quarterly. It's usually more than in a home. So if you buy in a neighborhood that has a lot of single family homes, those are the lower assessments for the HOA. When you buy in a condominium, they're insuring the building, they maintain the building, they do everything for that building all the way to the sheetrock. So your responsibility begins sheetrock in. So if there were a storm and the outside of the building was damaged or the roof was damaged, that is covered by the COA. So therefore, your fees to be members of these COAs is going to be higher. So yes, it's great to have a condo, be able to lock it up and leave and go home and know that someone else is taking care of that building. It is wonderful, but it does come with a price. So those are two things to consider when you're thinking about buying a home in the Destin 30A area, and for that matter, any coastal area. The third thing is you need to think about the association or the homeowners association and what kind of reserves they have. So different condominiums and different homeowners association are run by different people, and it can vary dramatically. So if you live in a condominium, say, and your payments are $1,200 a month to be living there, those are your regular assessments. You pay them every single month just to live in the building, and the building is taken care of by the COA. Well, that's a beautiful thing, except if they don't have the right reserves, if they're not saving enough money out of all of those assessments to provide for deferred maintenance and for things that could happen in the future, then you could be hit with what we call a special assessment. So for example, if you had a building and they were not saving enough out of each of those monthly assessments to put towards their reserves, and something should happen, like let's say the elevator goes down and it is not repairable. Well, that is a big expense to, if you have a building with 20 floors and you've got to replace the elevator, that is a big expense. And if your reserves are not prepared to cover that, then there's not but one place to get it, and that's from the homeowner. So what they do is that they charge a special assessment, and that special assessment is usually paid in a lump sum. Now, sometimes they will do some financing with a bank so that you can pay it off over time, but usually it is a lump sum of money that you are responsible for coming up with. So that is a huge thing to consider. So before you ever sign on the dotted line with any community association for a condo or any homeowner association for a home, make sure you understand their financials. And it, by law, the seller has to make sure that you see those financials, but don't just skim over them. You really need to look at them and read them and understand them. So the way it works with the condominium association, say, for example, if you have reserves, they have a reserve study that goes out 25 years. So they'll say, 25 years from now, you're going to have to replace this elevator. 10 years from now, you're going to have to replace all the windows in the building. 5 years from now, you're going to have to retile all the flooring. So they know exactly how much they need for all of those different things. And the reserves in the budget are only as good as the person who prepared them. So if they were prepared well and it was professionally done, you're going to have good reserves and you're going to have probably no special assessments. But if they haven't done their homework and they didn't choose the right people to manage all of that money, it could be a problem. So I'm just telling you, make sure you look at those financials because it could impact your cost of living. So just know there are a lot of hidden costs when buying a condo or a home at the beach besides that purchase price. So I hope this has been helpful. Until the next time, I hope to see you at the beach.